Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and this time I'm going to attempt to do my top 5 snap-on tools. And in this case, not only am I going to limit it to 5, but I've also imposed a couple other rules, such as there are some obvious things that I'm not even going to get too far into, like snap-on wrenches. End of story. I'm not even going to include that. That seems too obvious. And the same with snap-on sockets. It seems like an obvious thing. Therefore, those are a given. So what are the other 5? And I'll include a few things that kind of change the dynamic a little. I do like snap-on hammers, but if I don't know what I'm going to get into, sometimes I bring an Est-wing, and so I decided I'm probably going to do a top 5 either Est-wings or other tools. But I do like their hammers. So I also like that Snap-on gives us colors. In this case, I decided to go with a green theme here. Even Lego goes green, as well as Harbor Freight and Ozark Trails, and there's my iPad case, and even things like a PB Swiss or Snap-on lighting. I'm not going to include that either, just because it's green. I thought about including this. I'm not going to. It is one of those. This is more along the lines of if I could only have one. But since I've given myself 5, I usually know a little bit more about what I might need. So I may grab other pliers. But I'm going to have that on my list. So anyway, let's get to it. So number 1, my favorite pick shape, right here. I try never to go anywhere without that. I always find a use for it. I always find some reason to have one. I have a bunch of them, a few different colors, different lengths. And the more I try other brands that do this same little hook, the more I go back to this Snap-on one. So if I had to grab a couple of Snap-on tools, or a couple of tools for an unknown maybe, I would always have one of these picks with me. Second thing, although I mentioned sockets as a no-brainer, so simple it didn't even make the list, the ratchets. I do have a lot of choices of ratchets, but I will generally grab a Snap-on ratchet over any other if there are unknowns. If I know what I'm getting into, in the size or the particular application, I probably have a Snap-on for it anyway. But for just a general ratchet, this is almost a no-brainer. This little ratcheting screwdriver is by far my favorite, and it's one that I enjoy using, and therefore, for a ratcheting screwdriver, I grab this. I might choose a Snap-on larger screwdriver, or I've got a couple other choices, but for a ratcheting one, just if I have to grab one, I grab one of these, and I love these things. I just got this one in green. I've got a handful of red ones spread around, but they are just ideal. Unfortunately, they're ridiculously expensive. Oh, and of course, you can change bit shafts there. It's not the stubbiest of the stubbies. I just think it's the best of the stubbies for some reason. It just feels good, the operation, everything about it. Next thing is the pry bars. I've mentioned these a whole bunch of times. I love the Snap-on pry bars. I do have a few other brands, but this one right here is probably the one I'd grab and toss in a tool bag if I don't know what I'm going to end up needing. And then if I do, it's going to be one of these, only larger or smaller, if it's not this one. So the Snap-on pry bars are by far my favorite. Next and last is this high leverage plier. This is the HL138 ACP. This is a high leverage kind of a slip joint. It's a solid design. I will tell you, if you're going to get one of these, check the play right here. I've noticed some on the truck that just have a little too much, and this wall here, or this panel, I've seen bend out before. And sometimes if somebody overstresses them, the alignment here seems to be at a little bit of an angle, so you can actually see sometimes some movement, some spread. It's easier to see it up here when you squeeze that hard. And so I imagine that some of them might already be full of play. But anyway, I grab one of these. Why? Because it does what basically no other plier I have can do, and that is when I really need to grab something, crush something, hang on to something, to really fight with it, whether I'm pulling something, using a bench grinder, whatever. I just love these things. And I got a new green one. Why? Because I had an older one and the handles actually fell apart on it, and my Snap-on dealer said, oh, I can just swap that out, and he gave me a brand new one. Anyway, so those are my top 5. The pick, the ratchet, the stubby ratcheting screwdriver, the pry bar, and these high leverage pliers. There are tons of other Snap-on tools that could easily be here, but I am going to say for 5 tools that I would grab and throw in a tool bag that are Snap-on, and I would choose these over any other tool unless I had more information. I've always got to have that little caveat there. But just for a general tool bag, I'm going to grab these, as well as whatever other tools I might think I need. So anyway, share your top Snap-on. I kind of find this fun because it makes me look at specific sizes, reasons, rationale. I'm gonna do a top 5 Knipex, I've decided, and that's getting kind of tough. Like the first one obviously is going to be easy. Second one's okay. And then it starts to get into a little bit of a nuanced area. So I'm going to have fun with that one. But anyway, here are the top 5 Snap-on tools that I grab over other tool brands. And with that, Doc out.